Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the problem with Oshay Duke Jackson. So, when it comes to what the problem with Oshay Duke Jackson is his whole way of thinking that he hates Africans and his hate, and just in general, to sum it up, his hatred for Africans and everything from always attacking them to saying things like, you know, that we are not the same people, African Americans, and of course, Africans are not the same people, or something, and all that type of stuff. And I just want to call him out on the bullshit that he's putting out here. So let me explain. Now, when it comes to the reason why I do not agree with O'Shea Duke Jackson's way of thinking, is it simply comes down to the fact that first and foremost, O'Shea Duke Jackson's way of thinking is simply stupid. Okay, it's simply stupid, especially when you take into consideration. And this is coming from a black Canadian specifically as well. So I'm not trying to be biased or anything, to put it bluntly at all, biased or anything. I'm just being honest here from my experience and from what I've seen, I've heard a lot, and I have seen a lot for that matter, is that a lot of African Americans have a history of talking crap about other groups of people, okay? Because before I get into that, the thing that why this is an issue is that they have this way of thinking, some of them, not all African Americans, but a lot of them have this victimhood mentality. Oh, everyone takes from us, everyone does this to us, especially specifically, of course, Africans. But at the same time, here's the thing. At the same time, to be honest with you, like I was getting at before, they themselves have a history of disrespecting other groups of people. Okay, they make fun of Black Canadians. I've heard some of the worst insults you can imagine for African Americans when they talk about Black Canadians. Okay, especially when it comes to of course, the idea of you know, like our blackness. Like I've seen some horrible comments. They make fun of black British people, and African Americans themselves have a history of a lot of them. I ain't saying all, okay? But a lot of them have a history of terrorizing other black populations that are not directly African Americans. They used to terrorize Jamaicans in the 1970s and 1980s, from what I know. This is actual history. I'm aware of this. And later on, they used to, of course, terrorize Haitians, especially if you're from Florida. It's not bad anymore, or at least not that bad anymore. But I remember, like in the 1990s to 2000s, I heard they used to give Haitians a really hard time. Okay, a really hard time, if anything. Which it was just like discrimination was just ridiculous. It was bad though, you know. But they used to give Haitians a hard time in Florida, okay? Which of course it's not like that anymore, but they used to give them a fucking hard time. So what my point here is that we need to just realize at the end of the day that the black community in general, has a history of hating on each other for that matter, okay? On both sides of the aisle, okay? Whether even aside from, of course, the violent things I was talking about, like the terrorizing of Jamaicans and Haitians, they used to. I should say, back to what I was saying before, like the terrorizing of Haitians and Jamaicans. The main thing is that we as black people, we make fun of each other all the time, okay? um as I was getting at before, African Americans make fun of Africans, Africans make fun of African Americans, and so on and so forth, and all that type of shit, to put it bluntly, to answer your question. So the truth of the matter is, like what is this exceptionalism? Why is it that you guys can make fun of everyone else? African Americans can make fun of everyone else. Black Canadians, black British people, black Caribbean people, black Latin Americans, even Africans as well, black Africans. But when people do it towards you, you can't handle it. I just think it's stupid, especially like growing up in the past, especially like decades ago. And I heard this a lot. Like Africans, Americans used to make fun of Africans so badly. Like they would always make fun of them, saying that you guys actually live in huts, you guys live in around lions and all this type of stuff. I heard about that for years. If anything, it was going on for years and decades in the past. Oh Lord, let's not even bring that fucking up. That was just absolutely terrible. What they did back then, in all honesty. The Africans, especially if you watch those old movies, when you would say that you are of African descent. Oh my lord! Like those movies that talk about musicians in the past, in like the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. If you said you were actually of African descent, I used to hear some of the worst shit you could imagine and beyond when it comes to reaction happening when you say we're from Africa. Some people say we're not from Africa. I'm from Detroit. I'm from Chicago, and they would actually completely overreact. And that's what I'm trying to say here. African Americans have a history of doing this. So for um and I'm not saying the majority of African Americans are like this, but when it comes to African Americans, at least referring to them in this regard, you know, um, you know, for this issue, okay, if anything, the African Americans who do this, to be more exact, okay, for them to joke around and terrorize people going back decades, way before there was even any African immigrants in America, for that matter, and in general, and then some Africans come to America and make fun of African Americans and say that you guys don't really do anything in this and that, and then they overreact and make it seem it's the worst thing ever, is just stupid. And that's exactly what I'm trying to get across here. Because at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, we're the same people. When they took us from Africa, we're from the same exact people. Just obviously, they just created deliberate division and all that type of stuff, based on which island or even just which landmass they put you in, North America, South America, and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not what you think it is. That's just the history of the world. Racism, and I mean, just in general, um, that's just a history of the world, which of course is what happened for African slavery. So in short, what my point is that we need to realize that in general, in the black community, we need to stop just hating on each other and making fun of each other, to be more exact. Making jokes about each other. Oh, you're Jamaican, so you're like this, or you're African American, you're like this. Because at the end of the day, we're the same people. And in the past, I know it used to be lighthearted and we just like jokes, but as we can now obviously tell nowadays with the internet, it turns from something like, okay, it was a joke, to somebody's like, I'm not laughing. And then they get really angry about it. And then it creates a lot of drama and controversy, you know, in the end of the day. So, what my point is for this video, if I haven't made it clear enough already, is that this whole um, thing of African Americans hating, getting angry at Africans for making fun of them or talking poorly about them is really unnecessary. Okay, because the whole black community does it in general, for that matter. We do it to each other, for that matter. Okay, and specifically, to be more exact, African Americans have been doing this for years to Africans and other black diaspora groups. So for them to just have it happen to them and then all of a sudden they want to go into victimhood mode is just uncalled for and unnecessary, to be quite blunt and honest with you. Especially when you take into consideration that we're literally from the same place, no matter how you look at it. Just put in different locations and stuff for that matter. Okay, so that's the truth of the matter. So in short, for the ending of this video, to end this video off, I just want to make it clear to people that um, that what we need in the black community is we need just general unity. Okay, we need to end this stuff. This whole bullshit about you're African American, you're African, and all this type of crap and stuff is just unnecessary and needed. Because at the end of the day, to put it bluntly, what we need as much help as we need. And of course, in order for us to succeed and become successful and be able to enjoy our lives, especially in a world that hates us. And doing this type of stuff is uncalled for and unnecessary. This hating on each other from where you're from. Because at the end of the day, you can't complain about them hating on you when you guys do the same thing to them yourself, no matter what aisle you are, African or African American or Jamaican or this and that. So in short, this we need unity, and we need to stop this whole hating on you for being this black person from this so and so place, because for us to succeed we need unity, and that is the truth of the matter. So anyway, this is my video. This is all I have to say, and just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumb this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is it, and simply put it, I am out. So bye.